a video that is a couple-minute video that's kind of descriptive of what life is like in a tech support role. I never intended to have anything to do with technology. I got my PhD in philosophy, and I was going to do Wittgenstein in ethics, and that was about it, really. And then accidentally, I built a web course in '93, '94.
Did they have the web back then?
Just barely.
And the first graphic web pages were put out by CERN in April of '93, and then I proposed to build a philosophy course in Mosaic in November of '93. And so spring term of '94, next term, will be the 80th consecutive term I've taught this course on the web.
Wow.
That was the first one.
Yay!
So we need to get some symposium together, some 20 years of web teaching to those.
Absolutely.
And so I take it you know how to do this.
Yeah, they could do that. So, and there's a bunch of other people on this campus and some off the campus that were involved in early efforts. And so those first 90 years, 90s was very exciting.
It felt like 90 years.
Lots of innovation. But now I've spent, because of that, people assumed I knew a lot about computers. It was a very bad assumption because I knew nothing about computers. It was all about pedagogy. Still is. But anyway, I've gotten interested in the problem of what is technology in teaching and learning. So the philosophy of educational technology is my area of expertise, and that's what I do. And so here's one for the historians, but I think you may enjoy this.
Oh, let's see.
You seen that?
That's so good. I'm sorry.
Can you read it? It's all in Dutch anyway, so.
Hvis det hadde vært så enkelt, så hadde jeg jo ikke tilkalt helpdesk, hadde jeg vel? Nei, det er sant. Du har lyst til å være en sånn? Nei, det skal være fort. Du bare... Sånn. Ja, da er vi i gang. Ja, altså, så langt kom jeg også. Ok. Ja, men så stoppet opp, og så var jeg redd for at noe av teksten skulle forsvinne. Så jeg... Inni her, så ligger det kanskje flere 100 sider med lagret tekst. Så for å komme videre, så tar du tak i et ark på den måten her, og så liksom blar du over på neste side sånn. Da fortsetter teksten. Blar, altså. Du blar. Men tilbake da? Ja, da bare blar du tilbake. Jeg tar tak der. Nei, så tilbake til den teksten. Ok, så den slutter der, og så fortsetter den der, ja. Ok, men når jeg skal avslutte, hva må jeg gjøre da? Ja, bare slår du sammen permene. Ja? På den måten der. Sånn. Da er den lukket der, ligger alt lagret inn. Jeg setter fyr på hele, ja, det er kanskje litt... Når man holder på med skriftruller, så tar det litt tid å konvertere til å bla i en bøk. Ja, det er greit. Ja, men det er en før det går. Sånn, og så, hva du kaller det? Blar. Jeg blar frem og tilbake. Og når jeg er ferdig, så bare lukker jeg den. Flott, kjempefint. Ja, men du, vent, ikke sant? Nå er det åpne fra andre siden. Så det er ikke likegyldig, det, altså. Åpne fra den siden der. Ja vel. Har du lest manualen, eller? Manualen skal følge som manualen som brukerveiledning. Åja, den, ja. Ja, men ikke sant, der har du samme problemet.
So good.
That's pretty much it. And, these changes, we always talk about, Gutenberg and how the book changed the world and et cetera, but, think about what the transition points in all of those were. There must have been stuff that, was going on, people getting used to a new way of dealing with information. And for us, it just happens like, daily practically anymore. It's pretty amazing. So Stephanie asked me to come over and talk a little bit about this interactive technology, the clickers, turning point response system. and they'll do that. And there's just a couple of other topics that I wanted to go into with you. One of them is, I just wanted to show you our site. So I don't know if you know about this, but you know that if you hit Alt-Tab, that you can scroll through all the functions that are open on your computer.
No. Alt-Tab?
Alt-Tab.
Oh.
Okay. And the thing that's good about that is that if you have something like the PowerPoint open here, I'll close it down. What I do is I go ahead and start my web browser and start my video and all of that stuff, and then just Alt-Tab over the things I want. Because I walk into class, I see people, they'll close one thing and go to another, and they'll close that and go to another, and it gets into a mess. So if you open everything up in the beginning,
Ahead of time. When students are gathered around the desk going, can I just talk to you for a few seconds?
Yeah.
I just
and
want to
then that's going there, right? And if you just get used to Alt-Tab, now I can tab over to this, but I haven't lost my PowerPoint. It's still running in full mode. So it's just the kind of things, those little things make a huge difference in so many ways. So technology across the curriculum started that about 10 years ago with the idea that faculty really deserved and needed support for using technologies with a particular emphasis on the pedagogy of the technology. I want to say really clearly, I am not a salesperson. It is not my job to increase the use of any technology on this campus. And I tell, in fact, I'd say about 10% of the time that people come to me with an idea and I tell them, you know what, I don't think it's going to work. They'd be better off using just Blackboard. Okay, or something like this. I'm going to Skype my syllabus to my students using wireless, something like that. And so, but we work with ideas that people have, and innovation is really important. Just buying or downloading something doesn't make you an innovator. Okay? What makes you an innovator is that you have an idea about how this is going to affect the teaching and learning relationship. Because there is a relationship, there's a dynamic that goes on. And so much of what we try to do is to make ourselves available to the parts of that dynamic that have the most leverage on the teaching and learning process. Okay? I can tell you what some of those are for the future, but there's things that are common to all classes. Every instructor gives assignments and every student does assignments, give it back. Usually it's a three-part thing. I tell you what to do, you do it, you give it to me, I grade it and give it back. We're done. Okay. You can do more iterative, long-term kinds of things too. That's worth thinking about. There's the classroom technologies, there's the online technologies. And we'll support you in any of those. So we'll help you with the webinar stuff. We have lots of webinars that we do, and that's a way that people like to come and learn from what we do. But if you have a really neat idea, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to do this with Stephanie, I'd like to get together with instructors and we present the webinar on what they're doing. It's a very good way to share information. We've been doing a fair amount with Prezi. We help people with the PowerPoint. We have graphic designers who can help you with various aspects of those. We're going to start a syllabus makeover clinic. Recently I went to a conference and I learned about the research on the syllabus and what makes a syllabus usable. How many students don't even read, or if they do read the syllabus, they don't remember anything that they read in the syllabus. And how many syllabuses or syllabi nationwide don't have the name of the course or the name of the instructor on them in the first place. And a whole bunch of other things. Okay, so gosh, I mean, life is busy and hard, and terms are short, not always sweet. But what we would like to do is syllabus makeover and use the research to apply known methods of improving the readability, comprehensibility, and success of a syllabus in its function in the class, which is to lead the student through the entire term. And for the instructor to be on the same page as the student throughout the term. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that we're going to work towards. Do you all have a smart board around here at all? The interactive whiteboard? Okay, we teach those. But in that case where we do the interactive whiteboards, it's like a gigantic iPad, I feel like. What Kimmy did, and she teaches this stuff, is she came up with a set of 10 different types of uses that you could prepare that interactive board for. And so we're always going to the teaching and learning part of it. Lots of things like this going on. So we're there to help you. I think the thing that I most want to do now, because I know you go to Robert for a lot of your help, is to be the central backup for Robert. I'd like to back him up 200% all the time, so that if you ever have a question of what needs to go next, then you just come to us. Because it's no point in dividing the points of service. It's about unifying them and making them stronger. Right? But our goal is to give total support for the teaching process. Why? Because class time is my enemy. Lost class time, wasted class time. I've calculated this out. You take a class of 200 students, there's lots of those, and 5 minutes goes by with somebody that's trying to make the camera go on, and you multiply that 5 minutes times the 200 and the number of person hours that just went down the tube, and then amortize that against the cost of tuition. You know what a minute costs students in class? This is tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars of wasted time in a 30-hour class. Not even 30 hours, they shave off 10 minutes, right, for each one. So using our time effectively for the purposes that we have, which is working with our students to build their knowledge, is the key, is the most important thing we can do. So I'm always on that. But one of the technologies that's been successful for us, and let me give you pass these around for you. They'll go around the table, I'm pretty sure. We put one of these out, you maybe already have one, is the clickers. We're always interested in those. So I'll tab back to the PowerPoint, and there it is, still running, which is good because I have to click the thing up. I'll also give you these, or I'll loan you these.
There you go.
These are the clickers. These are the turning NXTs that the students have in their classroom. There's an audit of Blackboard which this last summer showed us that there's about 20,000 of these registered in Blackboard. So a lot of students have them. Robert, you can
Do students have to buy these? Or
yes, students buy these. I'm trying to change the funding
and
model.
then lose them?
But right now, students buy them, and maybe they lose them if they stop working for any reason. That is, if it really, and it's less than 0.5% of the devices that actually do stop working. That's still a number of 10 students a term. We replace them. Okay, so we don't want them to buy them more than once. I mean, dog marks on them, they're broken in half. I've seen a few of them. That's another story. But we're not trying to get the students to pay. I would like to go to a model where we had students, these are available to the students, not just available, but they actually got them at start. Walked in the door, they had them. We don't have to go through this first week of, please go buy your clicker.
Yeah.
I'm going to start using it next week, all that stuff, you know. 10% of the term's done before you start clicking. These are things that I'm working on, and we're looking at the future of this technology. But let me just give you the idea of what this is and what it's for. It's a really simple thing that I'm doing here. You know, there's this kind of clicker. If you have a dog, and you know that what it does is it gets your dog's attention, and there's my dog, and you can train your dog. So Trickster, here's the click, and she puts up her head, and she's a dog. Okay? So this is a different kind of clicker. And students aren't dogs, but students are humans, and humans have attention. And attention has a lifespan. Okay? We'll talk about that a little bit. So here's a question, and you're already on the right channel. So you just choose 1, 2, 3, or 4 off your click. You see the numbers? So you choose one of those numbers. The polling is closed. Let me open the polling. Why did the polling close?
No, open.
No.
Right. There it is. Now, so see, there's the bar up there. It shows me what's going on.
Okay.
It's now open. 4 responses are in. You have an idea how many students in your class?
Because I got off my channel.
Thinking about it?
Yep.
I was fooling around and
It's
I got off my
okay.
channel.
That happens. You're back. Okay. You're still on 7, so you can
Oh, okay.
It doesn't get ESPN.
just push your numbers. No. These
These
are
Can you hear me?
RF, the
finally.
radio frequency, like a garage door up there. Okay? They're not working off the wireless. Okay, so there's the answers. Now I'll go ahead and do this in just this, the most obvious
I
way
need to
is
get
you,
my 9 times.
show the results,
Yay!
and there's the answers that people have given to
Are
this.
they- is it accurate?
Okay,
So
so
4.
this this is one of the things that students like about these, and if we got the price problem under control, then they would adore them. Although about 67% of students tell me all the time when I survey them that they think that it improves their educational experience. So they don't want to pay for them, but still, and I understand why.
How much are they? Sorry, how much are they?
A brand new is 48 in the bookstore, and then I think used is like 35, and they can always sell them back for like $13 or something.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, there's questions all the time. Okay, so what's happened here is that the students are responding. Almost all the class will. And none of the other students around them know what they did unless we're doing a peer instruction model on purpose. But they can see where they stand in relation to the rest. And all of that together provides a whole bunch of really interesting communication dynamics that you can use for particular purposes. So one of the uses is to go here. So I'll say, well, we've got a variety of opinions here. Nobody picked number 2. And everybody picked so I can go to this and say, could somebody that picked this one tell me why did you think that it was Oregon Agricultural College? Where did you get that information? Did somebody just Google it just now, or how did you know that?
Do you really want the answer?
Just now.
Yeah. Seriously.
For my job, my interview, they told me that. The dean told me that.
Other buildings, you'll see OAC every
All right.
once in a while.
Oh.
Now, somebody over here picked Beavertopia. Can anybody that didn't pick Beavertopia, this is one of my strategies. If you go straight to the person and go, why did you pick number? Now you're breaking that veil of thing, like, I didn't want anybody to know what I picked, right? But so instead, in some cases what I do, and I'm thinking of the smaller class now, primarily, but I'd say, okay, would somebody that didn't pick Beavertopia give me one good reason why somebody might have picked that?
Because we're the beavers are our mascot.
Because the beavers are our mascot. And then the ones over there, they'll go, no, that's not why. And then they self-identify, but they don't seem to notice. I've seen it happen so many times. Or, is that why? No. And there they are. And so you can see there that the possibility of seeding a discussion, with a very a topic that doesn't have a discrete answer, is very strong. It brings about, and you could do that in steps and stages. I haven't even gone to the business of me telling you what the answer is yet, and we're already moving down the path. I think we'll see how this goes. And to me, this is the real power of the thing: is that you're able to use. I'm interpreting this data. The way to use this in a way that is definitely going to fail is to show the result. Go, okay, 78% pick number 3. Let's move on. One case I saw somebody do that. It was the professor would not come to sit down and talk with us. Said the grad students are going to do that. And then it was the professor that got up. And so this individual was thinking, well, my GTAs will go learn the technology, so I don't have to do that. It didn't occur to them that there was a technique. And so what this person did was stood in front of the class and went, 11% said number 1, 0% said number 2, 76, and that's actually what they did for 10 slides. And it was a disaster. Why? Because everybody can see that. Okay? What they don't see is the interpretation of that. And so they want you, the smartest person in the room, maybe, to show that you can interpret this data. And the fact that this data is not prepared in advance shows them that you can work on the fly. I mean, if you think back on your education, weren't some of the highest points in education, just watching somebody really smart think on their feet? Not just telling you what was in the book, but figuring it out on the fly, answering a really hard question. I mean, to me, that was just like, mind-changing, life-changing to see really smart people go, I want to be like that. And so this is, you already do that, but in some cases, this gives you something to work with because you get to interpret this stuff. And so the kinds of questions that you would build is cognizant of the fact of how am I going to use that stuff in the class? What am I going to do with it? Right? We already do some things like this.
I just want to add something to the on the fly thing, is that part of the problem about class meetings is that students don't want to come to class, right? That they don't actually want to physically have to be there. And so in order to make them want to come to class, or at least feel like they're getting something out of it, they need to know that something's going to happen in class that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. And that on the fly stuff is it. And so I've used this before, but this is the first term that I really think that I was able to get the hang of it. And I started getting comments from students like, I want to see what's going to happen in class because I have no idea what's going to happen if I don't go. And it's because I don't keep a record of this stuff, or in the sense that I don't give the information to them if they're not in class, and they want to know what other people think and what I'm going to say about it.
You tolerate you tolerate a level of let's see what happens next that is so frickin' amazing. I
agree. Stephanie has a really great rapport with the class.
Yeah.
I've been to her class. The advantage for me, I get to go to a lot of classes. I go to about 30 classrooms a term, and I really get to see people teach in every possible discipline. And that's exciting. I see some wonderful things happening. If one thing is to take away, find time to go to somebody else's class for a while. It is really enlightening, even in a different discipline, in a different kind of classroom. You get to see great things. I love to take you. If you don't have any to go to, ask me, I'll take you to one. Right? I love to go to classes. I've learned everything about the biology of birds. I mean, it's great. So I take this. We got Corvallis Academy and Corvallis College. Nobody said that, and everybody said Agricultural College. And some people went for Beavertopia, hoping that we would be there eventually. So here's the actual history, as I've understood it. It was originally Corvallis Academy, and it was run by the Methodist Church. Then it became Corvallis College, and it went through a bunch of name changes. The third one was Oregon State Agricultural College, and it became Agricultural College, and all the way down to '61 when Governor Hatfield signed it into Oregon State University. And who knows where we go from here. And there is Waldo Hall under construction, and here it is now, and this is where I live. So it's a great place. 1907, that building was built. It used to be a women's dormitory. We're right next to the baseball stadium. About 4 years ago, this very old woman with a very old man came in, and she people get lost in Waldo all the time, and I guide them around. Can I help you? I said, and she goes, "This is my son." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And she was there for the playoff games of the baseball thing, but she had lived in the dormitory when it was first built, and she came back, and we looked around. And the lab that we had used to be the shower and stuff. And she was telling me, "I used to run down the hall with my towel wrapped around me so tight, but I shouldn't be telling you that." And, it was the dearest thing, I tell you. And then she sent me a card.
Oh.
It was so nice. Okay. And so then we can go on to another question. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I'll open the polling. It should automatically open the polling for us. But I guess I ran through it once. And so now we know Corvallis College was at the very earliest of the naming of this thing, just after it was taken from the Methodists. And I'm wondering, it was incorporated. It seems like we're going there again, doesn't it? And I wonder who you think of this. The state of Oregon, Benton County, Mary Lloyd, she's got a history in the Freemasons, could have been the incorporators of Beavertopia, Corvallis College.
Once I put my number in, it doesn't stay. The screen disappears again, so I sometimes forget what I said.
Yeah, that's right. And we can set that to be different. It does that to save battery life.
Oh, okay.
But we can't set that to show. But it does show you a response that you got.
Yes.
Okay. And it saves them. And I'll tell you right now, this is all being recorded. So, I mean, I will get a record of all the responses at the end with the slides. Now, what we didn't, we're doing this in anonymous mode. So in the classroom itself, you'd use a class list. And with the student's device, you see under the barcode on the back, there's a little device ID. And they register that on Blackboard, their clicker, and now it pairs them up. And that's how you keep track of them. That's how people use it to credit for attendance. And there's all kinds of strategies for that. We could talk about. But that's one of the uses that people have. I mean, they figure as long as the students are here to do this and they're participating in class, and I have a record of their participation, give them some credit. And, you know, students are like academics. They're one credit, they'll do anything for one credit. Right? And professors will do anything for $1,000. It's just because there's so little to go around, you know. And so then, okay, we go on to the next one, and of course, just about everybody, half of the group figured out that it was the Freemasons, who still have an office downtown.
I just freaking guessed for fun.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing Beavertopia. I thought I gave the Beavertopia answer.
See, once I heard Methodist, I thought
Well,
Masons
that,
are.
yeah,
in
they're
There, that was the
somewhere.
giveaway.
That was-
Okay,
But so
That was
that's
a good
right.
piece of- And so, what do the Methodists have with the Freemasons?
Just liberal Protestant religion aspect was what I was going off of. But
From the Reformation on, yeah, okay. And so, boom, there's a hook. There's a hook. I mean, it just the information connects and combines. And so, my point is not that this somehow teaches; it's that it becomes a tool within the lecture. Just like the slides or the pictures or writing on the board or moving around the room. Here's the best. Okay, no, the Alt-Tab was the best. Here's the second best thing that I can teach you, other than going to people's classes, which is the best.
Three.
PowerPoint. Well, they keep getting better. Is the B button. I just hit the B button, and I'm going to walk away from the screen. And when you do that, every eye in the room will follow you. I told you that attention has a lifespan. About 10 minutes, maybe with teenagers less. Physiologically, that's just plain true. And we go on for 50. At conferences, longer. Okay? And somehow our audience is supposed to just follow that. But physiologically, their attention is just draining out of them. Okay? But it's not hard to reset. Okay? You can do lots of things. And one of them is just change modes. Hit the B button, walk away, introduce the next important
The
point.
letter B on the keyboard.
B is in
blanks-
Benny. B is in Beavertopia.
Blanks the screen.
When
B
you're
is in
PowerPoint.
blank.
Oh,
B
when
is
I'm
in
in
blank.
When I'm in PowerPoint. Okay.
B is
I always
in
go to the thing and like screen blank.
Yeah,
That's so
I
much
go to the
easier.
McDonald's fry menu.
So
Yeah.
all of the attention banks have okay. I mean, they may not be happy ones, but they're back. They're back, and then I've introduced the next topic. I go back and I go, okay, everybody, let's go talk about the next thing, and on we go. So
B again.
B
again.
B.
Okay.
B, 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 B.
blank and back. I see it as
Ah.
two different things.
It's a toggle.
Beautiful.
But it's one of the best features of PowerPoint is the ability to turn it off without losing it. And so you get to control your space, your information space with more meaning and accuracy. Otherwise, I mean, I'll bet you a box of donuts you've been to the talk where the person's 20 minutes into it and the title slide is still sitting up there, and what is everybody in the room doing?
Looking at the time.
They're staring into the screen,
Wondering, oh my.
not hearing what the person's saying. And these are, professionals. So, I mean, gosh, let's go back to the people that have used attention as information and understanding as their livelihoods for millennia, and learn from them.
My years in improv pay off.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so here's these kinds of clickers that we're looking at, and here's the different model, which we've bought 250 of these little ones for use in non-curricular uses. And so this is a way simpler one than this. They're not used in the classroom, but these are available. So if you learn to use this stuff and you want to take it to a conference or a talk or a meeting, I've got the one fraternity now uses it to do their elections and meetings all the time. And so this is starting to move to the Greek system. And it's interesting. So
We could take them to a conference?
yeah,
How?
there's a pack. This is the pack. This will hold 35 of them, and everything that you need. You sling it over your shoulder. This is the receiver that picks up the signal from this, and the software is on here. So you don't need to have your conference put the software on here. You can do it on your laptop, just plug this in, run it, and hand these out and start doing it.
Cool.
It
Give
is.
a little spiel to the TSA agent at the airport.
Yeah, there's always that. So the kids are involved. And I think somebody brought this up, but something that just astonishes me is to see the last day of the term, in the last 5 minutes of the class, when the instructor goes to click on the graph, every student is holding their breath. I've spent my life in education, and I can't think of any time that I've ever heard silence in a classroom, except when I see this. They hold their breath. It could be the most mundane question, and they still want to see the results. You just come see for yourself. And so my thing is to say, folks, what you do is you ask the question, and then you go like you're going to give it, and then you tell them what you really want them to know. Because all 100% attention right now, and it may have nothing to do with that, you know?
So
Anyway.
wait, you give them the question on there, you have them click,
Yeah.
and then while they're waiting for this next
The
slide,
results,
the result,
to see how they
you
fit
tell
with the
them what-
group.
Right, you can.
It's all about fitting in.
The results can be separate from, and one of the things that I like to do at the end of this is, and this is what I recommend to all instructors, is if you're going to use these things at all, have a closing question that asks a question that you want to know about your lecture, your class. Is the textbook good? I mean, if you're using these twice a week, you got like 15 different times or 10 different questions you could ask your students and gather a whole bunch of informal data about their reaction to your class. Was this lecture useful to you? Did it fit the book? Do you like the book? You gather all this stuff. Getting that kind of feedback from our students is the best possible way to change our uses of technology and our uses of teaching methods,
Timely way.
by far. And so you can answer this. I'll go ahead and vote on this one. No. But this is the kind of stuff that I would gather. And I don't think you don't even need to show results of those kinds of survey questions. They don't expect that. You can just collect it, take it home and use it. When I'm done with that and I download this, and let's see if we go past, there's,
So we could enter
That
multiple
kind.
answers for that question?
yeah, there's multiple answers. So I could show you some of the software and how that works. This thing up here is pretty busy. You can get that down to be smaller, but there's lots of features.
Oh, we were supposed to answer.
So
Okay.
there are simple ways. I closed the polling, so that's okay. And then, yeah, you just go on and you go on and you go on, and it's all right.
Oh, polling's
Oh,
open.
they get
All right.
really upset when the polling is closed and they try and enter.
Yeah, well, I've been watching American Idol right now, and I have yet to get my vote in. It's the most, they're making it easier and easier, and yet I'm just stupider and stupider at American Idol. This is easier than American Idol.
There's none of it's really easy. None of it's easy. It's never going to be easy. And if it was easy, what we do, everybody would do it. Right? So, I mean, we can do it because we're motivated to do it and we care. But none of it's easy. I know that. And technology is definitely not easy. But it's a habit. Aristotle said that habits are, not gained by the senses or impressions or reason. It's a practice and doing it over and over. That's what forms a habit. And so, and by habit he meant virtue, like courage, or prudence. So for us,
Both of which are required for using this technology.
yes, persistence, right? That's exactly correct. I totally agree. And if you use it and use it, but Stevie, you could tell me. I mean, after you've used it 2-3 times, I mean, it just the term becomes.
It's a very fast learning curve. It is, if you know how to use PowerPoint, it's really easy to just start using it at a very minimal level. And then as I've gotten more comfortable with it, I've started adding sort of new layers of complication. So when I first started using it, I didn't use PowerPoint, and I used there's an option that lets you poll anywhere, and I would tell students what the question was and write on the board the potential answers so that because I didn't know how I was going to use it. And so I needed the flexibility to come up with questions on the fly instead of having to plan them ahead of time.
Right.
After that term, knowing how I was going to use them, I now have a really good idea of what kind of questions I want, and so I build them into PowerPoint. And then PowerPoint will give you the poll with all the responses like John is giving us right now in your classroom. You just have to know what they're going to be ahead of time, but you can still then go do the anywhere polling to ask a question that you realize that you hadn't planned on that you need to ask. Or I also have just a blank question template that I keep built into my PowerPoint slides for class with pre-made answers so that I can just flip over to it if I need to ask a question.
Yes, no, maybe, I don't care.
Yeah.
Are you asking?
And I have to say that this has improved my student participation, not just in terms of the level of attention and amount of participation. They learn critical thinking skills that I couldn't teach them as well as I want to without this technology because of this sort of forcing them to have to imagine a position other than their own. Because at first they think that whoever, right, that if someone answered Beavertopia, right, they'll say that person's crazy or stupid or just being an asshole, and they can't imagine any other possible response. And this is what happens with ethics positions, right? Anyone who doesn't agree with me is wrong and stupid. And that they have to, in class, go through, I tell them, right, there's another solution, go find it. Then they have to brainstorm and come up with other possible explanations for why someone might have given that answer. And it teaches, right, it gets them outside of their own perspectives in a way that I couldn't do on my own. And to be honest, it actually improves my interaction with them because I have to be really clear. Because what happens is when I write a question, and then they'll ask for clarification in ways that matter philosophically in terms of how they answer the question. And I wasn't thinking about it when I wrote the question. And so then I have to clarify for them what I mean. And so I actually learn in the process of dealing with them, right, the different ways that they're going to interpret what I'm asking them and why it matters. So it's right that everybody, it's not just about intention, although that's pretty awesome in and of itself. If you tell them you'll get points for this, and it shows me that you're not sleeping in class, even if you're giving all wrong answers. It's an equivalent. I actually do a demonstration for them where I put a treat in front of Mandy and show them what happens when there's food, and then I tell them, right, that's what points are for you, and this is why we use this. But also, right, the pedagogical possibilities of what they can learn grow exponentially.
Well, Steve, you had a...
Steve, go ahead. Right.
Okay. I was wondering, because I can see the ways in which, I want to use this immediately, I wanted to use it for a little bit now, but I'm afraid because it costs students and I'm not going to be very good with it for the first time I use it. Is there a lot of pushback from students? Like, geez, we had to spend $60 and we only used these 4 times.
So here's what I recommend is you just have a conversation with your students. First ask them how many of you already have this.
Okay.
Because almost all of them already have it.
Oh, okay.
And then, find out, make a decision on that basis.
Okay.
And the deal is I mean, I don't know. It could guarantee them an A in the class, and they'd still gripe that they had to buy it. It's just the nature of the beast,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
But ask them if you don't give some credit for their participation, then you're stacking the deck against yourself.
Right. Okay.
Right.
That always seems to make them happy.
So if I could build into it that you're going to be training me in how to use these, and in exchange for doing that, everyone who has clicked over an X% over the quarter is going to get certain, because I can keep track of that. Okay.
And then the other things it could do is, I could loan you enough clickers to run your class for a couple of weeks to try it out. B, you could really ask your students how many of you have them, and would you bring them to class next week, and we'll try them out. And so those are 2 possibilities.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Don't jump into something all the way irretrievably without trying it out. Yeah, go slow on this stuff. Terms are fast.
I'm sorry.
If you're building, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just going to confess about the learning curve, and this is going to go on the internet, but the first time I used this, I told my students I was giving them credit for it, but I never actually went back and checked. Right? How I used it was, in there, they had to do a self-evaluation, And I used what they reported back, knowing that I could go back and check it if I needed to, right? So I use it as if I think you're lying to me, I'm going to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
But if I don't think there's a problem, like, sort of when I was learning how to use it, I didn't add that extra layer of it, and I just gave everyone credit for it. Now that I can feel more comfortable with it, think I'm asking better questions, now I go back and I can actually look at the record of individual students, but it's, right, you can sort of frame it in particular ways that account for your learning curve in terms of how much you want to take responsibility for it. And I also tell them, I know it's an additional $50, but if you don't already have one, you're going to use it in other classes, and I've accommodated for this in the textbooks I've selected.
Yeah.
Right, sort of, I pick a slightly less expensive textbook, and then there's no complaints.
Thank you.
Okay, Stephen, you had a question?
Yeah, I want to. Sherry's question about jumping in, I think, actually was a nice blend here. I don't know if I want to use these necessarily for individual students, but I do want to use them for groups in terms of getting people together. And if these are already widespread on campus, then what I can do is I can just take the ID number or know which student was in which group who brought their clicker, and then have kind of like a group sign up, so these 4 people belong to this particular clicker, and I can give credit, participation points for that. Does that
works.
make sense? I mean, it's
So-
clumsy because it's not directly
Yeah. If I go to an audience where there's not enough devices and too many people, I do exactly that. I say that a number of people, we have about 140 instructors on campus using these, about 13,000 students a term. So it's a big deal. But quite a few of those instructors are using peer instruction. So it's a problem-based methodology. And the math courses in particular are fascinating about this, some of the physics too. They'll do numerical entry. So they'll say, okay, you two, solve the problem, and then put in the result. And they do it. But almost always each individual has their own, as they're crediting individuals. You could come up with another methodology. But then they put in the answers. And what they see up there is a matrix of all of the answers that were entered. And then the math instructor goes, okay, you see these 4 here? They've all got the same issue. So with somebody that gave me this, who picked that answer? And they'll be brave, now tell us. And what did you do? And I go, well, I did this, I factored, I multiplied, I added. And she goes, well, there's the point. You got to add, then multiply. Oh. And they do the whole class like that. And it's just really kind of amazing. So any subject matter can be done in that peer method where you discuss it, go back.
Is there a way to do ranking? For instance,
Yeah.
4 answers that are totally correct, but you're asking students to rank.
Yeah, that's right. I wanted to show you that here's a report that I just generated from this. It's anonymous here. What you would see in the report, and there are many types of reports, is you'd see all the students and what they answered. This is also integrated into Blackboard so that you can just take the results. I mean, if we set it up so they say you just get 1 point for participating, answering even 1 question. Let's say that was the method. Everybody gets a point that answered the question, and anybody that didn't answer a question gets a 0. And people do different kinds of methods. So actually the tracking of this stuff in a large class is pretty good. In a smaller class, being able to get this stuff and analyze it is really nice. So that's definitely doable. The answer to your question, Stephen, in part is now I'm in the tool. Now we're working in the PowerPoint one. There's one that doesn't use PowerPoint. I'll show you that a little bit too. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's Turning Point that's in PowerPoint. This is PowerPoint. I'm making a PowerPoint slide. So you can use your existing PowerPoint if that's what you do. And Turning is an add-in in there. And so I could do all these things with it. Well, the most obvious thing to do here is to add a question. And so I can pick a question. So there's priority ranking. And it's going to set me up with that question template. And now I can give weights to the different responses, and et cetera, et cetera. But they can rank all of the items that are there. So the objects that are here for us are this title box. That's the question. That's what the software recognizes as the question. This is what it recognizes as the answers. You can pick a correct answer and all that stuff, and then it gives you a graph, and you can pick different types of graphs. You got all these things, and then there's a little countdown things, and just tons of stuff. You can also
Blinking
have,
rectangle. Oh, smiley. Do smiley.
okay, and so doing the smiley face will go to the correct answer.
Oh, I see.
And you can have that in a two-click. So it gets more and more and more. And when we did the transition from the different system to this one, almost all of our faculty wanted the most features possible. The options were between dead simple, 5-point, everything is a multiple choice question, but it's so simple to use, you don't have to think about it. And something that's more complex, but gives you lots of options, and everybody wanted. Only one person wanted the, I don't have to
Dead
think
simple
about it.
one.
Yeah. So we went with this. But let me show you one that I think gives kind of like the in between the two. So you get the idea here. You get this bar. You build your PowerPoint. You add question slides, and you select the properties of those questions. And I think you're going to simply say, okay, I know exactly which question types. I never, ever have anybody come back to me and go, I don't understand how to use the questions. Academics just instinctively know how to create questions.
That's awesome.
I don't know, The other parts, like, I don't know what this is. But that part, nobody ever asked me because they love to play with it. And they're always saying, when are there going to be more question types? And so there's all those weird things like analogy and word scramble and things like that you can use. There's Likert scale. And there's some like you can create teams. So Brady, who's in our unit, created game shows. He has a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah,
and Jeopardy.
it's amazing. I haven't actually used it with my students because I couldn't figure it out fast enough to be able to prep for it, but I seriously can't imagine how excited they're going to be when we play Jeopardy in class with the clickers.
I'm going to play $10,000 pyramid.
Yeah, well, okay, we can make that one too, I'm sure. No, the deal was that, yeah, we'll be glad to do it. I mean, it's just a variation. But the thing was that we already had PowerPoints that were built around these, and you build them so that the links take you to the right places. And then what the instructor does is just puts in the content, questions and answers, right? And so that was working great, and a lot of people were using it. But Brady, we talked about making it work with the clickers. He made it work. We're going to Las Vegas to present on this, actually.
Of course you are.
And yeah, it's a big deal.
Only it's
So-
not going to stay in Vegas.
Not the game. That's right. So why do a game like that? Aren't we just like dumbing down education? And I think no. If we're using this correctly, so here's a case that people that take midterms and finals. I mean, I know a lot of students. I see a lot of students, and the stress factor on them is just extraordinary. You remember, and so okay, but that's life. You're in college, but we don't have to add it where it's unnecessary. So to help students, we'll often do things like give them a review for the midterm, but the review is another test. So what we've done is just added another test, and you watch students take the review. And they're just as stressed out. This is type 2 stress, right? It's modern stress. It's stress that runs in our imaginations. Type 1 stress is when you're running away from the leopard. Okay? But it's only 5 minutes because you're either dead or you got away, and then you can go calm down. Right? That's how we were designed. But now that we lived through the
John
industrial
said
age,
more leopards.
type 2 stress is what our imaginations create, and our body still reacts to it as if it was real. So we imagine leopards, it's what's going to happen, am I going to get my retirement, my grades need to be in, and these are our leopards, and it creates all the stress. So what we do is we create a new stress, because as soon as they see a test, they're going like this. So my view is you give them the Jeopardy game, it's still the review, but they're laughing and competing. So I don't think that's trivial. I think that's just good design of human psychology anyway. And there are others. So it's not, we don't want it to be gratuitous, unless gratuitous is fun. But these things have meaningful roles in our culture at times. So. All right, I'll show you the other part of this. I'm going to close out of here now. It's going to ask me do you want to save that? It's going to make sure that I save it. I'll go, okay, I'll save it. And it's going to save it to that receiver. So those are my results.
Okay.
So I'm not throwing away the data. Because there are about 15% of faculty would automatically push, no, don't save anything. You know,
The hardest thing that I have had with this is actually not the technology, it's not forgetting the USB drive receiver and the computer. And John came up with a fabulous solution to that, which is each class pick a student or a group of students that are responsible for reminding you to take it. I also put a PowerPoint slide at the end of every presentation that says, remember to take your clicker. I have a neon piece of paper that I put on top of the keyboard that says, remember the receiver. And now I'm even thinking about getting a string to attach it to myself somehow, but it's, as long as you can work with your own memory problems, it's
You can put it on your
I think you need an adapter on Mandy's collar.
that if I get too far
You will
away,
never
if
forget
she
it.
gets too far away from the
Yeah.
You should
clicker,
see your house. There's signs everywhere.
Right. So every time you put the clicker on her collar, you give her a treat, and then after a while, she'll never let you forget it.
That's brilliant. That's
oh my
brilliant.
god, I can't imagine. That's the
Hey,
best idea
John?
ever.
Yes.
Is there, I'm sorry, I interrupted both of you. Is there, if I want to start using this in a week and a half,
Yeah.
is there something I can read to give me ideas about how to use it in various situations, what kind of questions were, besides sitting Stephanie down and saying, now, you know, you want to spend part of your vacation teaching me this?
Well, I can give you lots of resources. There's
Great.
books and papers and
Good.
Is there a
I do
webinar thing
webinars,
probably?
webinars. But I will recommend that you come in and sit down with one of our folks and
Oh, okay.
learn to do it.
Great.
You really, you know,
Are
it's
you
40.
open during the break?
Oh yeah, that's 45 minutes, you know, but it
Right.
makes all the difference. And we come to your first classes. We go to all of the first classes to make sure that it goes well.
Sometimes without you even asking, they just show up.
Whether or not you want it, yeah. We're there anyway.
It's amazing.
Yeah, there's a certain number of times where I've gone to a class and the person there said, well, I didn't ask you to come. I said, well, that's okay, I'll just hang out. And then they're like, why doesn't this do this? Okay, well, you need to turn it on. So, and oh boy, I'm glad you were here. Fine, that works. There's another, yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
I was just thinking that my plan fell apart for having students already use these because I don't have a USB.
I'll give you one.
Okay.
Do we have to buy a USB?
No, nobody buys, we don't have to buy anything. They actually charge $150 for these, but I got a whole bunch of them.
Do you have, like, you said there's 113 faculty using this, that means they all have one of those that you have a budget for buying and giving them? Okay, so when we book our 45-minute meeting with you next week, then we leave with that thing?
Yeah, the only difference between that is that I told the company that they could put it into their budget.
Good
Because they're
job.
making money off of our students.
No
and There's
kidding.
no reason why we should charge our faculty or my
No
unit to
kidding.
support them.
Well, I don't think so.
And they were like,
Doesn't
okay,
seem to-
okay, I
doesn't
hear
seem
that.
to what I think.
So this is called Polling Anywhere, Turning Anywhere, and the nice thing about this is running right now. I pull it up and it runs over anything. It doesn't matter, a web
So you
page,
don't
a
need
PDF, you don't have to use PowerPoint.
Oh,
Okay? It just runs by itself. And this is my favorite, actually. You can prepare questions to put in it already and stuff, or you can just pick, 3 answers and even just say it verbally.
Yeah, so this is where Stephanie would
Which-
like write down, here's a question. You'd write the question on the board and then
So you can either do it verbally, write it on the board, or have it or prepare it in this format.
Okay, it seems like detailed
Right.
questions I'll ask later.
So I'll say, what's your favorite color? Black, orange, or neither? So I just did it. I just made it up. And then you can push and you get the responses.
I want to answer.
People are answering.
Which one's orange?
It was black, orange, or neither.
And, sorry, so how do I'm an idiot.
Well,
How do
1,
I-
2, or 3.
Oh,
1 is black, 2 is orange.
You tried
3
to
is
type
neither.
in black?
I didn't try to do
Of course
anything,
black is
but
cool.
And
2
then-
is B. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, everybody done?
Yeah.
All right, good. So you got this. Here's the answers. Oh, look, everybody likes black. So,
Except 50% of the people.
so why do you think that black is a color? Why? So you see where that goes, right?
Yeah.
You really think that black is a color? Close your eyes. Do you see? Okay. So, do you see the colors? Yes. What is one of them black? No. So this always, for me, this just opens the way. When I go to a conference and stuff, this is what I use. The nice point is all the software is on here. You don't have to get anybody to install it or anything else.
I can't believe I couldn't figure out that
What's the
Blackboard
name of
either
it?
was 1, 2, or 3.
I love it.
Maybe you can have an hour-long meeting.
There's lots of other parts of this, but you figure out which pieces you really want, and really that just becomes the style for yourself, and you make it your own if you do it at all. The other thing that I wanted to chat with you about, and we're done. Are we done? We're done. Okay, but I can say this in a few words. I would like you to think about something. Have any of you ever done a poster session? No.
Yesterday.
Well, that's wonderful. How did it go? Okay. In class? You do the poster session in class. You do poster sessions in class?
I haven't done one in class.
All right. I think that this is a marvelous, effective, efficient way to engage students in the creation of media, meaning the visual, and communicate the ideas that they have. I think it's just a marvelous way to do it. There's
Sorry, poster sessions or these clickers with poster sessions?
no, I'm not talking about, well, I do clickers with poster sessions, but I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is an assignment, what you did. You give them a topic. Okay, I want you to pick one of these topics in ethics, and I want you to make a poster that explains the issue and your argument for it. And they do it as a group or not. And then here's what makes it really exciting in my view. I don't know, have you ever done where the students do a group and they stand up and give a PowerPoint and show everybody? And that's good too, except the group is up, they're given a PowerPoint, one of the students is talking, okay, and then you can only do 5 of those in the session and use up class time.
Right.
With the posters, what you do is everybody puts the poster on the wall in the beginning. Okay, now a third of the class is going to stand at their posters, and then the other 2/3 go around for 15 minutes. And now, okay, we're going to switch. Another third goes to their posters and they circulate. At the end of it, every person, every group has presented to multiple sets of people. Everybody has seen everybody else's poster. And listen to their arguments about it.
And ask questions.
And ask questions.
Yeah.
And in 50 minutes, you get all that done.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
It's a good way to
Students
go.
like it a lot.
Yeah, and
After
students
the
like
first
it a lot.
anxiety, like, I've never done this. But yeah.
And here's the deal. I think that media creation is active learning. And posters are media, PowerPoint's media, this thing's media, whatever we do with it, or video. So anything like that. What we're doing is developing assignment models based on working with people who use them in the classroom, and assignment models for here's 3 ways to do a poster session, here's 3 ways to do a video assignment. Okay? And we provide support to the students. Okay? We just this year
So not
merged
just
with
faculty, but-
SMS. So now instead of Student Multimedia Services, we're TAC Teach and TAC Learn. Okay? And so we have support for those students, for your students, in making the posters. Because you teach in the history of the Industrial Revolution or epistemology, you're not teaching poster design.
Graphic design, yeah.
Okay? But we can teach poster design.
Wow.
And we will teach students the different, understanding how to communicate effectively by these means. And then we got the printers to make them nice posters.
So, that used to happen in the library and now it happens in Waldo?
It's
or?
still in the library physically, but now it's our unit. Yeah.
So
We
we
also
got-
have templates up online for posters.
We got
so
templates
they
for
can see
posters.
their choices for design.
So do we organize a classroom session where one of you guys comes and talks with the students about
We
it?
can sure do that. We can sure do that. Or if we, the benefit for me in this is that what happens now is that students show up and they say, I have to do an assignment, I have to do a video or a poster or a PowerPoint, okay? And it takes us an hour to go through the assignment and try to understand what was actually wanted. But if we are involved in, okay, we know what kinds of assignments are out there, then we can instantly know what they need and we're already prepared to help them. I don't mean we have a template that runs off of that. I mean, we understand the terms of the assignment. Because honestly, sometimes I have to go back to the instructors and go, what you know, what was it that you really wanted out of this assignment? And that's just because people in their disciplines are not experts in video and all this stuff. How are you going to know? How are you going to know what a proper timeline is for producing a, you know, a video? But people do. Dwayne Plaza had his students create mashup found videos from found sources online to express, to explore topics in racism and culture. And they did incredible things.
Whoa.
We got that online. You can go see it.
Whoa.
So anyway, all I'm really doing there is seeding some ideas. You have ideas, come talk to us. We'd love to partner with you in helping the teaching and learning process grow. And you know, paper's technology too. So I mean,
How do I turn it over? Oh. Recordings on the back. And then what data's lost?
John, the second example that you ran where you were outside of PowerPoint, was that also the Turning Point program, just running outside? Okay.
Yeah, and I'll show you. That's this.
Right.
The receiver. It actually picks up the RF signal. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you could plug this into a laptop and go outside to go in the woods and do it.
Right.
You know, so it's like, because these are talking to each other like a garage.
Right, they don't need anything separate.
Yeah, right. And then when I go into this, there's Mac side. So Mac users, yes, you've got all the stuff there. And Mac PowerPoint for Mac as well. It's new. But on the PC side, you've got, there's Turning. So you open that thing, and you can keep your content on here, your PowerPoints and stuff too. And then here's all the options. You can go find your PowerPoints and so on. You can get your reports over here. You can run the PowerPoint from here. It'll open PowerPoint, or you can run that.
Are the answers still integrated with Blackboard if you're working in this mode?
Yeah. I'll go to Manage. Where is it? Results Manager, is that where we're at? I don't think so. Export, integrations, there I am. So if I go to integrations, and I go up to Blackboard, HTTP, now this gets tricky. Different buildings have different security protocols. But once you've done it, you've done it. Oh, I got it. MY. That's Blackboard. And so what happens is once you've done this correctly, it just saves the information except for the password. And let's see if I do it. Please work. Yeah. And so now this is going to update, export the session to Blackboard. Here.
Nice.
And it'll send it. There's my new session. I'm going to export it. Blah, blah. It's going to export. And it's going to go find my course. And I got to go pick the course. And up it goes. So people can do it right from their class. Before they leave class.
So you can give reading quizzes in, you know, a fraction of the time at the beginning of class and never have to give them a piece of paper, and the grade will go directly to Blackboard.
Oh my God. Everything's different now.
I know, right? That was convincing me to try it.
I can get through the last 5 years of my career now.
Some people do beginning of the class reading quizzes on the chapter. I'm going to ask you 3 questions from the chapter at the beginning at the first, and it's just going to be the first 3 minutes of the class.
Yeah.
If you're not here on time, too bad, and off we go. You know?
And at the end of the term, you can cumulatively do a report that puts all that stuff.
Yeah. This manager over here has lots of different options, and you can put them all together, and you know, I mean, you can see them visually, and you know, all that stuff. And if you have any difficulty with that, we help you do that.
You can tell how many, you can tell if you had a bum question, that kind of stuff. How many people
let's
got
do
that
a tag
question
team.
wrong.
It does, it does item discrimination and a couple other types of. So does Blackboard now too.
Yeah.
What happens if we shift to a different system than Blackboard? Of course, I'm assuming that you'll say it can be integrated into.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
So Canvas is the other option we're looking at, and this Canvas supports this integration. In fact, we got I formed Beaver Team 6 to support the sandbox classes, because we got to get this done by for spring, for heaven's sakes.
Wow.
And so we're doing, it's 5 students that are, really getting up to speed. They like being called Beaver Team 6.
Abort,
Beaver
Team 6.
Yeah, exactly. But I run this note, we've gone through your dossiers and determined that and they just eat that up like crazy. They'll do anything if you do it right. And so that's good. There's something else I just thought about showing you because
Oh, you found 2 students of color to be on the front. Don't do that, John. We'll talk about that later.
they were my students.
Yes. Good for you.
They were my students.
Does it matter when next week?
No,
Okay.
I'm good. Not between 3:30 and 4:30 on Tuesday and Thursday because my daughter's going to cry.
Okay. I knew there was a constraint.
I didn't, honestly.
I know you did.
didn't- No, mine's an online course. And so when I invited students to come see me, I didn't know anything but their name. And they came and saw me. One guy came and saw me because he was an athlete, and I spent some time with him. And then
Yay.
there it was.
So I haven't told you this yet, but one of my students is in a statistics class right now, and so she just on her own created a list of questions that she designed with her statistics professor and brought them in and said, hey, can we do a statistics project on the ethics class about moral beliefs and the kinds of things that they think would change their behavior. And so it was really cool to sort of have her take that initiative, and students do things like this, right? They want to suggest questions and things like that, so it's nice to see them get excited about it without me having to prompt them for it.
So let me just show you something that I'm excited about in Blackboard. For me to get excited about Blackboard, it takes a lot. But this has tripled my response time to students on written assignments. I have about 50 gradable items in my class. Every week they have stuff they got to do. And they submit it through Blackboard as an assignment. And this last upgrade of Blackboard does this. I'm going to take you to one of them. There's the students. I don't even know for sure that okay, see, so that failed because that's an RTF.
Yeah.
So if they put up, we can constrain file type. There it is. Okay, so that one's going to open up. And so there's the paper. And here's my comments. And I can just comment on the paper.
Yeah.
And then it saves itself like Google Docs.
Yeah.
So I don't have to save. And then I can put in a grade and more comments if I want. But the comments that are there are just, that was a download thing. Oh, it's this. Isn't this clever design thing up here, this hidden thing? And so there, and I can add more stuff. But this is a great way to give feedback on papers. And it's so much faster than when I was downloading, commenting, putting them back up. I would put that off. I would put that off till the weekend and then somehow not get around to it.
Yeah.
But now it's just whenever I got 2 minutes or I'm on the phone with somebody, I'm sitting there doing, grading papers, and it's just, I love it.
You're the guy I can ask. If I accidentally highlight or cross something out, what's my undo? I cannot find it.
That's an interesting question.
It's really bad. I mean, I've outlined whole papers. Undo them.
Let's see, I believe that I can, stop. Okay, so I'm going to put one in, and then here if I click on this, there's a delete button that deletes that comment.
Okay, now what about if I've just highlighted or
Okay,
Highlight some text.
okay, and now I'm going to delete that comment.
okay, great.
So I got rid of that one.
Okay.
And now you're doing, highlight.
Highlight. So that's what highlight. Okay, now what?
Okay, yeah, good.
Okay,
And so now we want to
Unhighlight.
right click. And you can add a highlight.
It's not going to work when he leaves the room.
Can we do one of those videos like medieval technology for
Okay, so
It
right
turns the
click.
page!
Okay, I'll try that.
The Mac
No,
user
this
right
changed
click
everything.
thing is
But the one thing this does not work well with yet, unless you've got a kludge for me on this, is a tablet. it's not working well on the iPad. So it's like, dang it, I want to go to my coffee shop with my iPad and do this.
Yeah.
Right, and sadly, that's by design.
Oh.
Apple makes sure that it doesn't work with this stuff.
Is your office the go-to?
Yeah, they're in a battle. You know. What was it?
Is your office the go-to? Say, you know, I'm actually putting my Blackboard sites together for next term. Is your site the people where we could set up a meeting and have someone sit down and work out some of the technical details and things like that?
Oh, totally, yes. We do that all the time.
Okay.
And Lynn Greeno's brilliant at this stuff, and I use it all the time. And one of the things we commonly do is help people set up their grade books so that it works more efficiently. There's lots of things in there that you can do that makes it easier to use the grade center. It's not obvious right off the bat. So yeah, absolutely. We do that all the time.
I really enjoyed working with the eCampus developer. You know, I've got a better Blackboard site than any course I've ever had before. Actually, I worked with Laura Casey, I think, over there.
Okay.
But, you know, I had no idea some of the features were there, but I don't know yet how to make them happen myself, because she did the nuts and bolts stuff for me. So
yeah, one of those cool features to know about. I mean, there's so much you can do with this, but I know people are going to like it. There's lots of things that you can do with grade columns to check. For one of them is you can have a final grade column that you put. Let me reverse it. So I got this student here. You know, it's got a B plus, and don't do it B plus. And then when I'm done, okay, I can from Banner grab that column and go in there, so I don't have to re-enter everything. That's very helpful. The other is that you can sort this by different criteria. So if I do this, if there's a student that goes 2 weeks without commenting in the discussion board, that's a high sign to me that they're having a problem. And so I have it set up so that it turns red when that happens. And when I get all of those, I can actually just select them with a function, but you can select all of these students. Let's say, give me all of the students that fit this criterion, got below 75% on the midterm, whatever it is, right? And then I can email all of those students, and I email mine saying, gee, I see that you haven't participated in the last couple of weeks. Is there a problem?
Wow.
And it's just like that.
Can they see their names?
No, it's BCC'd so that they don't see each other.
Okay.
And these aren't students that have problems anyway, so, okay. So, you know, that kind of thing, it's a world of difference to students to get that kind of response from you and things like that. And it's just that it takes so much time. We live in a world as teachers where there's a disfavorable ratio that works against us. We know that we would like to give our students more to do. They don't believe they are undertasked, but we know that they are, because we give them a 5-minute quiz, and then we walk away with 60 quizzes that we have to grade. And so every minute that they spend on something turns into hours for us. And so we have a limit as to how much we will assign them just because we can't keep up. But that's always under the bar as to what they can really be doing. Okay? So the trick is, whenever possible, to flip that ratio around so that their 2 hours becomes my 5 minutes. I always looking for these opportunities to make that right. And there are definitely ways to do that. Not everything works that way, but a lot of things do work that way. And so that's why I have lots of gradable items, because they're small and they build upon one another and so on. And I'm able to actually take 5 of those and treat them as a unit. But they've been doing it progressively all along, and I can see whether or not they're keeping up. So this is educational strategies. So I'm not going to go on to Blackboard. Yeah, that takes a long time. But any topics about that? You bet.
Cool.
Thank you, John.